1, blast off!
Hi, I'm Jon.
I'm Lillian.
And we're
Urban
Stargazers. And this month of October, I'm going to give you 4 things to see in all the cardinal points of the compass just after dusk. But before we do that, Lillian, do you want me to tell a joke?
Yeah.
How do you get a baby astronaut to sleep?
You rock it.
You rock it.
Yeah.
There you go. So for the month of October, in the north, which is which direction, Lillian?
North.
In the north, just after sunset, you're going to see a small cluster of stars, a little fuzzy patch of stars in the north, known as the Pleiades. Now the Pleiades are also known as the Seven Sisters, although there's more than 7 stars there. And they happen to be very, very hot stars that glow a special color, which is Lillian's favorite color.
Blue.
Blue. This open cluster also displays something called some nebulosity, and that means that the light from those stars illuminates some of the gases surrounding those stars, making it kind of glow into a fuzzy patch. The really neat thing about the Pleiades is you can see them day or night. In the daytime, when you're driving and you see a car known as the Subaru, if you look at the symbol on the motor on the trunk of that car, you're actually seeing an artistic representation of the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. The Japanese call that cluster Subaru. Now we're going to move to the south, Lillian, which is...
That way.
Yes, and in the south, just after dusk, you're going to see the 2 gas giants in our solar system known as...
Jupiter
And?
Saturn.
Jupiter and Saturn. Now, Jupiter is going to be the brighter of those 2 objects, but they're both quite bright in the south. Jupiter is almost going to be straight south. Saturn is going to be a little bit to the southeast. If you have a pair of binoculars and you look at them, you're going to see that Jupiter actually would be not a pinpoint of light like a star, but a little bit of circular light, a disk. That is the surface of, well, not the surface, but that is the shape of Jupiter. Saturn, if you look at it through a telescope, is going to be a little bit of an oval. And it's going to look like an oval because of the rings of Saturn coming off the sides. If you look under a good magnification, you might even be able to make out the rings of Saturn. And if you look very, very carefully, you'll see little points of light off of the sides of either of those planets, and those are the moons of the planets. So again, coming just after dusk, in the south, you'll see Saturn and Jupiter. It's really worth checking out. We're now going to move to the east, Lillian, which is which direction?
This way.
The east. Just after sunset, you're going to see a really, really bright point of light rising up. That point of light is the red planet, known as Mars, the Roman god of war. Mars this month is absolutely spectacular. In fact, Mars on October 13th is very, very bright. It's going to be in what's called opposition, which means that it's going to be directly in between the Earth and the Sun, illuminating itself very brightly. How bright? Well, we won't see Mars this bright until the year 2035. So this month on October 13th, get out there if it's clear night and look at Mars. Look at it with a pair of binoculars. It's going to be an orangish red color. It's going to dominate the sky in the east all night long. Really worth checking out. Moving over to the west, which is...
This way.
There's another really cool star, and one of the stars I like to use to find my way around. It's called Arcturus. It is named after Greek mythology, after a character called Arcturus. Arcturus was a boy who was about to shoot his mom with a bow and arrow because his mom had been turned into a bear by Zeus. Not a nice thing for Zeus to do. Zeus took pity on Arcturus' mom and decided to save her by throwing Arcturus up into the sky and turning him into a bunch of stars that is now the constellation we know as Pluto's the Hunter. In the meantime, his mom, who we've already turned into a bear, got turned into another constellation of stars called Ursa Major, also known as the Big Dipper. So somehow, the Greeks thought Zeus was doing them a favor by turning her from a mom into a bear and now into a bunch of stars, and him into a bunch of stars, and they hang out together in the sky there. Now, Ursa Major is the Big Dipper. It's unmistakable, I'm sure everybody can find it. To find Arcturus, you follow the handle of the Big Dipper down, and you kind of arc over to Arcturus. It is a red giant, a little bit bigger than the sun, and it's a really cool star to see and a fun way to find your way around the night sky. One of the things you're going to hear a lot about in the media this month of October is that this month is a blue moon month. What is a blue moon? It really isn't anything special. A lunar cycle is 29 and a half days all the time, no matter what. The moon does not care what month it is. But when our calendar month happens to have 2 full moons in it, everybody gets excited and calls it a blue moon. It's really just a coincidence. It's a pattern that comes up every now and then. But what is cool about October is something much better than the blue moon or having 2 full moons in a month. It is having a great meteor shower that coming. And that meteor shower is the Orion meteor shower in the east. And it peaks on October 21st, where if you look east around midnight to the constellation of Orion, you will see between 10 and 20 shooting stars every hour. These shooting stars are caused by the remnants of a very famous comet that most people have heard of, the Halley's Comet. And if you go out that night around midnight, bring a blanket and enjoy a great meteor shower free of charge. That's the highlights for the month of October. And Lillian, what should we do?
Keep looking up!